healthy relationships or pursuing spirituality. Plus, there are a whole lot of therapists and authors of self-help books who have benefited greatly from this. Of course, I might be lying about the whole thing. See, part of me hopes to keep you confused and on your toes so you stop caring what's true and get caught up in the thrill of the ride. And that all goes back to, you guessed it, my childhood, of course. Now, Tom Bodett famously described Homer, Alaska as the end of the road, but my siblings and I knew that road decades before he arrived. For us, it was our mile-long dirt driveway at the end of the 12-mile stretch of gravel to Homer. That was where our homestead sat, up at the top of the world. There, overlooking the Kachemak Bay, was where we parked our Jeep and greeted visitors. There was where we learned to trek through waist-deep snow and shin-deep mud to catch the school bus. And my sister's dates would trek to our cabin a 3-mile round trip that often prevented my sisters from dating the same guy twice. Those of us 8 kids old enough to make the walk to the school bus went to public school. The rest had it easy. They got to lounge around all day, cooped up with our stir-crazy mama in that tiny 2-roomed log cabin. The school-aged ones did their lessons. Mama instructed them between her many homestead tasks while dragging and carrying the tiny ones around. The deciding factor of being able to make it to the school bus was a criteria for being allowed to go to public school, like being tall enough for a ride at the carnival. I could write a book about only what happened along that road over the course of our public school careers. Imagine encounters with moose, bears, rain, ice, pitch blackness, and flashlights, mud and snow, or any combinations thereof. That's the short version. In the darkest depth of winter, snow was the biggest factor. The oldest took turns breaking trail through the sometimes 3 feet of snow and deeper through the drifts. It was slow and tough going, but we were used to it. Believe me, all that was nothing compared to meeting a half-starved cranky moose unwilling to yield the right-of-way. It meant breaking a trail around her, now through 5 or 6 feet of snow, across dead-fall logs where you might disappear up to your neck and through almost impenetrable wilderness, canyons, or gullies. Then we had to run the rest of the way to make up for lost time, with one older kid behind cracking the whip to keep the younger ones moving. My teenage sisters changing into their non-hick school clothes under a tree, putting on their makeup, fixing their hair, and me trying to keep my Elvis hairdo from getting too messed up under my warm hat might well have been the most challenging part of this whole ordeal. What a kid had to go through just to get a social life. In truth, we would have walked 10 miles to get a break from homestead life and see other kids. My dad worked far away from home a lot in those days. He was elected state senator for our district, which meant he had to spend a few months each winter in our state capital. When he wasn't doing that, he was building houses in Anchorage, several hundred miles away. With only gravel roads back then, he didn't come home much. This meant Mom and us kids had to fend for ourselves. Sometimes we had the deep snow bulldozed. Other times we packed it down with our dually Jeep, or waited till it was frozen enough to drive on. Sometimes we just waited till spring, whichever was the easiest or came first. Any supplies we would need to supplement our homegrown stuff were brought in ahead of the deep snow, so we were prepared. Because of her real or imagined heart condition and probably many factors beyond my scope, my mama seldom got to town during deep snow periods. She left it up to us kids to bring home a few fresh groceries, deliver messages, deliver milk, and check the mail. Of course, we had to do all this over our 30-minute school lunch period and on the run. We'd run a half-mile uptown with milk to sell, 1-gallon jug hanging from a throbbing finger and another one sloshing in a backpack. Then whoever's turn it was that day would return to school with a bunch of mail, packages, and groceries. Coming from a big homesteading family,